School District Board to order at 6:30 PM. Roll call, please.
Colin Clements,
Here.
Sharon Lampel,
Here.
Jimmy Legrand, Thorsten Harrison,
Here.
Saint-Avi Vinod,
Here.
Lisa Boulay.
Thank you. And may I say welcome to our new Facilities Committee member, Saint Vinod. Welcome.
Thank you.
Item number 3, receiving of public comments. I don't see any public, so we'll move on. Item number 4, facility use update. The first item, subpoint A, facility use meetings, which is on page 3 and 4 of the packet. Did anybody on the committee have any questions or comments on the minutes? Okay. Item B, the finance report on page 5. Any
Just wanted
questions?
to say this report was through November 30th, so obviously any proceeds that may be collected after that are not going to be reflected here.
Okay, it does say November 30th, yeah. Item number C, facility usage reports. That's from page 6 to page 22 of the packet. I don't know how long it takes to prepare those, but I do like the reports. I think they've come a long way. They're very informative. They answer a lot of questions, and I really appreciate it. Any questions or comments from the committee? Okay. Denied applications on page 23. And reimbursements to organizations on page 24. So if there's no questions or comments on those items of the packet, we'll move on to information and discussion items. And with the permission of the committee, I would like to move item F, CSD Summer Swim Program, up to the top in deference to our colleagues from the CSD. Is that okay?
I have to tell you, I'm pretty sure that Steve is planning on coming.
Oh,
So,
so do you not want me to, you wanted us to
If you
move on?
don't mind, because
I
I
don't
know he
mind at all.
wanted to meet you all and address you and talk about the programs.
Okay, then
And
that's
I really
perfectly fine.
appreciate it. It's
Absolutely.
very nice, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we'll. Yeah. Whenever he gets there, we'll do that item next. Okay? So item A, Facilities Committee, Community Member, Length of Service and Process. Report?
So we have procedures that have been approved for the Facilities Committee that the community members have a 2-year span of service. So welcome, saying your span of service will go through July of 2021. And then, Ms. Boulay, your service will end July of 2020, July 1 of 2020. And then we'll have the community members on offsetting years and go through the same process of bringing on new community members that we did this current year.
So, still being new, if Lisa wanted to continue, she could apply to continue.
Yes, when we put out the request for participants, of course, she can.
We don't have term limits.
I do not believe so. And just so the public knows, we had 18 individuals volunteer, which is fantastic. That was a lot of participants
Yeah, that's a great
for this year. And welcome.
Can I ask, does anybody know why there's a term limit of 2 years? I know, I saw the board meeting when it was proposed to the board, and the only rationale was because other districts do it this way. So is there another reason, or, I just feel like 2 years is kind of short, because there's only 4 meetings a year, so it's, less than 10 meetings. And sometimes the processes take more than a year, sometimes 2 years or more. So I was just curious, and it wasn't proposed by anybody here, so maybe you can't answer that. And I know it's after the fact anyway, so.
Is it in the bylaws?
I believe it's part of the bylaws. Yes.
Usually when that's the case, it's in the bylaws when we decide we make 1 1 or 2 years when we make the bylaws.
Yeah, but Lisa's
So,
asking
but this has
why.
been,
What's the rationale?
well, unless it's a current bylaw change, I mean, if it was in the bylaws a long time ago, then I don't know if it was not being followed, or is it not in the bylaws? I don't know. I'm just curious.
And I think the basic answer to you is exactly what you said. We modeled our bylaws after other districts because we were new to this.
Okay.
So when we started the Facilities Committee, there probably wasn't a limit. There was also no official process for selecting
Right.
Community members. It was who raised their hand first. So,
Any other comments or questions on the community member length of service and process? Okay, so with the committee's permission, I'm going to go ahead and introduce item number F next. CSD Summer Swim Program. Unless you need a few more minutes. No? Okay. Yep. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for bringing us up front. Steve Pinkerton, General Manager with Mountain House. I think I've met some of you before. So being new to this, I'll definitely need staff to back me up. But as you know, at this point in time, we haven't built our swimming pool that's going to be part of the community central park across the street here. That's probably slated for most likely 2022 or 2023. And so until that time, we're looking to continue our swimming program that we've been doing in cooperation with the district the last 2 summers. We were hoping that this time around we could make it a 2-year instead of a 1-year agreement, since we think after 2 years we probably worked most of the kinks out of the process and the relationship, and understanding that there might be some additional janitorial costs that go up between year 1 or 2, but we thought it'd be simpler for all those involved if we extended this contract, because we're very confident that we'll need it for both summers anyway. So staff is here to answer any of your questions.
so will we be receiving an updated proposal? Because what we received is last year's, with no changes to it.
I saw my name on it, so it had to be somewhat updated. Let me take a look here.
Well, I just scanned it and saw the dates are still last year's dates, so I guess
so
I just made a
I
hasty
think we
assumption.
just need
that-
to add, I don't think we were asking for any changes to the agreement.
The extension.
Just
and
for
we
the
didn't add
extension.
that. We wanted the advice.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, so it is last year, same contract as last year. The only thing is that we're coming to you to ask for the 2-year. If it's acceptable, we'll definitely add that into the contract. But I didn't think, we didn't really want to waste time redoing a contract if that wasn't something that you guys would be agreeable to.
Okay. So,
It'd be through the first weekend after school gets out, up until the end of the summer break for the students.
right, I'm just saying, I'm thinking through how the process would work for us, because we can't go to the board with
Last year's contract.
with last year's. I mean, if the suggestion is let's just change the date, then that's, and that's what your request is,
All
right?
we're requesting is, and I think adding me to the signature block and
Changing the dates to,
changing the dates to reflect this summer, next summer.
okay. Then that's a pretty easy edit. And if that's the proposal, then we can work with, I would say just go ahead and do your wordsmith editing and change the dates so that we have something that you're saying, gee, this is what we'd like. And it can go to our board. Obviously, our board hasn't talked about it because it hasn't been a discussion item. So I don't have the benefit of having the opinion of 3 board members. So I think if that's the ask, then we create the document that is the four corners of what you're asking for, and then we put it on as an information and discussion item for the board at large to look at and comment on, unless members of this committee have questions, comments, concerns about the way the program, I mean, if district staff has questions, comments, concerns about the way the program has been run for the last couple of years, then now's a good time to talk about it and kind of ferret that out.
So, I have a question. So the highlights in here are what was changed?
Those are the proposals to be changed,
Okay, so,
We asked our attorney to weigh in on this because we have new counsel this year. And we told her that our intent was to ask for a 2-year contract and to weave into it, we knew we would possibly be addressing a COLA increase for the janitorial services. And I had asked Thor about, were there any things that the district wanted to add this year? Because if you remember last year, we added chemicals. So if there's anything that you think needs to be in there, you could tell us. And we were just waiting for direction from this committee before we go back to our council and have her draft an agreement that we think would be agreeable to all
the
of you.
reason why I ask is because there are proposed changes that are highlighted.
Yes.
But there's no proposed change to the term, and that's just being.
Right, and we don't know the dates, we'd have to work with Thor, and even those might be somewhat, not known at this point.
No, they're known.
The
First day of school was already set.
well, when you want us to be in the pool and out of the pool are different,
Yeah, but if it's for 2 years, we don't know the start
Right.
of the following year.
So we,
That's the only unknown
good
at this
point.
point.
We could just
Yeah.
adjust it to the first Saturday after school's out until the
Yeah.
Saturday before, or the Sunday before, or the Saturday before school comes.
Right, and just describe the amount of time rather than specific dates. So,
We had just wanted our new legal counsel to take a look at the language, wasn't worried about
sure.
other issues.
Sure. So on the first page in section 4A, there's a highlight that says, by its designated staff and the community. So what was it before?
Have a copy of the old agreement?
No, I don't.
Mountain House shall be entitled to access the pool facilities to open them for use by its designated staff and the community.
We'd have to
I
find
don't
the,
understand what that means.
have to see what the old language was, so I apologize.
What's really raising the hair on the back of my neck is the words "and the community." So, doing a lot of contract myself in my profession, I need to know what things in a contract mean before I can say, yes, I agree. This is great. Our kids love to go swimming in the summer.
Would it have been in our agenda where we could pull it up from last spring? Did it come to the board for approval?
Yeah, it did. It came to this board
Do
and
we have it in here?
last year.
Is last year's in the binder, Jen?
Was it
Yours?
maybe, which,
Yeah, but that, there were updates before it went to the board that were decided at this committee meeting. So,
But that one line may not have been changed,
It
so
would have come to
I want to
the,
know what it said and what does "and the community" mean?
what I'm reading here is Mountain House shall be entitled to access the pool
I think we
facilities
just need to
to
show
open them for
what they want, what
use
the old language was.
by its designated staff and the community, meaning that they're gonna use the pool, the community's gonna use the pool, and their
Oh,
staff
okay.
is gonna
At
run it.
first glance, it
Yeah.
read to me as if the community was going to open the pool.
No, there
I
should
got
be a
it.
comma.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Help the teacher read it without the grammar.
Yeah.
spring or the fall?
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
I think we clarified that language
Okay,
Yeah.
that we were talking about. I have a statement or a question. The, in your new proposal, if you recall, last year we had a COLA adjustment between June and July. So you, in June, you had a rate for the custodial services that was lower than the custodial rate in July because of the COLA change. moving forward, you can use the new number that you used in July, which was the 3124. We do not have a COLA change yet for the next school year because we haven't negotiated that. But you can use the current rate, which is the 3124 per hour. And then we can adjust the July days once we have a contract with our bargaining unit.
So we would need language in there that says it will change in accordance with collective bargaining agreements.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and if you're doing 2 years, that would be the next summer as well, having it fall on the change of the fiscal year.
I'm still curious as to what that section said before it was changed. I got what it means now.
Trying to find it.
And if I could say one more thing, if that's okay?
I'm sorry, Tom, what section is that with the COLA?
Sorry.
Oh, the fees?
Number what? Or page what?
What is that?
I see,
Where is it?
I see maintenance,
It's
maintenance
custodial on page.
In what number? Section E, custodial, thank you.
Wait, no, 7.
Yeah, but there's no rates in there.
right in that one.
So if you look at page 3,
Oh, up at the top, yeah.
at the top, it says, Mountain House will pay for 2 hours of custodial service each day of operation at the rate of $30.93 per hour from June 1st to June 30th, and the rate of $31.24 per hour starting July 1st, 2019, for the new contract. So that second number would be the most accurate number to date to use in your contract language.
Does it have to be that specific, or can we just say at the, I don't know.
The current
Yeah,
contractual
right,
rate.
and then you won't have to keep going back and changing it every time there's a change in the custodial contract.
So the negotiated in the CSEA collective bargaining agreement.
So the reason that I included the numbers is the board wanted exact numeric values
Oh.
for what the ask was from the Mountain House CSD.
Okay.
So the actual rate of what we were waiving as a school district and what the actual amount was they were paying for use of the pool.
Okay,
So that's why I included the numbers, or asked them to include those numbers in their part.
Okay.
And then I included it in the board memo as well.
We could put it both what the current rate is, and then this will adjust, as the contracts change to that effect.
I think Dave found the old agreement, right?
We have the old agreement, yes.
Oh, you got it
If
there?
you're looking
Okay.
for it,
I'm still not finding it here, so.
and by the way, this is minor housekeeping, but the bullet point at the bottom of page 2 is subpoint E, and the bullet point at the top of page 3 is subpoint E. I mean, it's minor housekeeping, but
But it's not if it came to legalese stuff. Yeah. That a lawyer would not like that. So Thor, what did that section that I pointed out on page 1, what did it previously say?
That was section
4A.
4A.
Yeah.
It said Mountain House shall be entitled to access the pool facilities to open them for use by the community and its designated staff in accordance with the following schedule.
So they just switched it.
Swapped it.
Yeah,
oh,
it just flopped, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Attorneys have strange reasons for doing things like that. I didn't, okay. Then I know I don't have to question that change.
Right.
but that switch
Yeah.
made a difference with the
How I read
interpretation.
it, yeah.
Thank you for getting that for us.
Okay, so Thor, what did section 6B say? In the 1 to 3rd line, Mountain House is highlighted.
High school pool rules, is it under that section?
Yes.
Yeah.
It said Mountain House will follow and enforce the high school pool rules as listed in the Facility Use Rental Policy Handbook, pages 10 and 11, with the exception of the requirement of 1 lifeguard for every 25 swimmers, and Mountain House will follow and enforce the swimmer policy as described in Addendum 2 of the handbook.
Okay.
So there was
They
a-
changed "and" to period, new sentence.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then,
Substantive changes.
I'm okay with that.
can I also mention that there was a change in our facility handbook requires a 25-to-1 ratio. We agreed to a 50, let's see, there will be 3 lifeguards up to 150 swimmers with an additional lifeguard for every 50 swimmers after. That was a change in our
We need to revise that.
policy.
That's what
We are, yeah, we
Move
did
it
that
over.
one, yeah.
they changed it to comma, from comma space and to period space new.
No, that was 6B.
That was 6.
Oh,
There is one 4B way at the
Oh,
top.
4B,
It's
sorry.
very faint. It says
Oh,
additional.
yeah.
Additional.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
Do you need me to read 4B to you?
Just the last.
Starting in the third line from the bottom, the sentence that starts with Mountain House.
my eyes are so bad.
Mountain
I didn't
House
even see
personnel.
that.
Mountain House personnel and staff may use the small office located next to the pool entrance at no cost during those same public access hours.
Additional.
Okay,
Plus, so we allowed
Yeah.
them to use the little office next to the pool at no additional cost.
yeah.
Though we
They
do
added the
charge
word
a fee
additional.
in our facilities handbook.
Okay.
So it sounds like in 6B, we need to make a new reference to the rental policy handbook, it sounds like, because you've changed that. We need to update 6B.
If you want to use the office, I would denote it, yes.
I'm talking about the lifeguard, I'm talking about not 4B now, 6B,
I'm
you
sorry.
mentioned, just going back to 6B, you said you've changed from the one every 25 to a more specific.
We didn't change
Policy?
anything. The request from Mountain House CSD was to change our requirement of a
Okay.
25-to-1 lifeguard ratio.
Okay, I didn't hear it right.
To a different ratio. Basically, you
Gotcha.
have a 50-to-1 lifeguard ratio.
Right, okay.
But we do have, yes, but it's actually, we have 2 guards on deck at all times, and then we add
Have to.
a third guard for an additional 25. So we are running at a 25-to-1 ratio.
Good. Keep it that way.
I came by a number of times, and you had a great ratio every time I came by. Yep. Are there any more questions on the previous versus the new?
That one was okay.
Probably want to know how
8.
sentence 8 changed.
In maintenance.
LUSD shall perform normal maintenance of the pool facilities, including without limitation maintenance of water sanitation, subject to normal wear and tear. LUSD shall notify Mountain House of any known change in the condition of the pool facilities. Mountain House will pay the cost of chemicals and other required treatments for the pool, estimating the amount of $84 for each day of use. So what we did is we took the total cost of chemicals for the pool for the school year. We took the number of days that they wanted to use the pool, and we came up with a monetary figure for each day.
Okay, but with rising costs, will this have to change? I'm sure the chemicals cost more this year than they did last year.
You can update it, but I think by it saying estimated, it gives you some flexibility.
10%? 10%? You have to add it up? Okay.
Okay. And the changes
I
in
know
the
chemicals have
fine,
gone
they
up a
just
bit
switch
this
things
year.
around.
But we can
Last
get
job.
we can deliver a updated number to whomever you would like us to deliver the number to.
Angel,
Okay.
yeah, my last job, we had chemicals going up a lot the last 2 years, I understand, so.
Also, if you can, maybe if it's a percentage that you see as an estimate that goes up, if we're going to do a 2-year contract, then we can add the estimate of, the next year, following year, we'll estimate an additional 20%
Yeah,
or
just
whatever
reference each year.
that number is, so that, just to make it a little easier, so since there's specific numbers in the contract.
Probably nothing in here about how much you pay the lifeguards, because that's yours, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we pay them.
Minimum wage is going up again.
I run the pool at work, and I know we just changed our salaries for our lifeguards because we would have been out of compliance.
Go up another $1, January 1st.
Any other reference?
I don't think so.
Any other comments, questions, concerns, or questions that district staff needs answered before we can kind of get to a first pass that can go to the board?
I added up the new numbers without adding a percentage to the chemicals. The new fiscal impact for LUSD is $22,137. That does not include the increase of the chemicals, which Mr. LeGrand and I will figure out. And then the total fees for Mountain House CSD with the adjusted salaries would be $6,885. That does not include, like I said, the chemical increase. only reason I mentioned that is because every time that we talked about this at board, they wanted to know those numbers, so I want to make sure that you guys have those numbers.
So the 22,137 plus the increase in chems is, what does that number represent again?
That's
What it's
the
costing the
number that we are waiving as a district,
It's our wave.
our waiver. And the 6885 is what MHCSD would be paying without the additional bump from the chemical cost.
So the
Say that again?
6885 would be the adjusted with the adjusted salary part,
Plus the increase in.
but I haven't added the chemical change, which we have to do at Mr. LeGrand, and I'll figure that out.
So the total cost then is the 22,137 that we're waiving plus the 6885 that they're paying.
They are paying that portion. We are waiving 22,137.
Plus the increase.
Yes.
So Mr. Harrison, does that give you
Yeah.
what you need for, to kind of,
Yeah, I think the only thing, they have the salary, so I think the only other thing I have to get to them is the increase in the chemical cost. And then obviously I'll check with the school and check the dates, same dates as last year, week after school's out. And I'll check the dates with the school site and we'll go from there.
I do like the idea of having a 2-year contract to make it more streamlined, and it's a time saver on both ends, both our end and on the the CSD's end.
is there anything else that you need in order to put together a recommended document?
I think we're in good shape.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Well, thank you very much for coming. We really-
I have a comment. I was actually hesitating. When this goes to the board, there actually could be changes in the cost splits. Just based on the conversations that we've had at board meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah. You were
obviously,
there.
we
Yeah,
can't speak for the board.
right.
But we are not gonna, but I at least I am not proposing that we say, oh, we should go with a 20%.
No, I'm not making any proposals.
We go
This
with,
is a
we
big
go
item.
with this, and then we talk with the board about it.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have runway. It's not like it's May. So I think we can.
Yeah.
We have the time to do what we have to do.
I'm just saying, because 22,000 plus is a big hit.
Just with regards to, it's really challenging for staffing purposes. So as soon as we can get this to your board and approval and all of that, it's easier for me because it is a challenge to get lifeguards on staff. So, I appreciate as
Yes.
quickly as it can go to both boards, that we can get the approval
I
passed.
recruit in February and pay for their training.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't want to recruit, I can't recruit until I
Right.
know for sure we're doing the programs.
So can I clarify that 22,000 number? Is that a fee waiver and not an expense? So it's not like we're
Costing us.
for,
Keep on the pool.
is that what that 22,000 is reflecting, the upkeep on the pool?
Well,
I mean,
that's what a different group would pay according to the facilities use.
right, but that's different than the actual cost of the upkeep on a pool. So that's why I'm saying, is that an actual expense, or is that just what we're waiving in the fees?
That's what we're.
Because they are, I don't know the cost differential, but I see them as two different things. Because I don't know how much really it does cost
To maintain it.
to maintain it with all that use versus to maintain it without the use, because you're gonna have to maintain it regardless. And yes, there will be a little more maintenance because of the high use, but, I mean, can we quantify that number?
Yeah, I can.
You can, okay.
So the way it was figured is, in the facilities handbook, we have a requirement for minimum staff to be used during pool use. And what we did is we cut that in half, and we're using staff that are on hand to help cover the program. So not only did we waive the required amount of staff that we use to clean the pool, clean the bathrooms, clean the facilities, but not only are we using half the staff, but we're using part of our time of our contracted time of the staff.
Yeah, no,
That's
that
where
part I
that
get.
cost
Okay.
difference is.
Okay.
Some of it is human, some of it is what we charge in our handbook for regular use. So that's why it's in there as a whole number, as what we have waived as costs, and it has both values that you're talking about.
Okay.
He answered way better than I could.
I spent a lot of time with the pool.
Any other questions, comments?
This 22 is for the whole 2-year
No, that's per year.
per year.
Per year.
So it would be doubled for the 2-year.
And this includes the school use as well, like the water polo club, and they also use the facility, right? So the maintenance is for the whole pool. Is that how it is?
Would you like me to answer that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so what they're paying for is use of the pool and maintenance of the pool when they use it. When they use it, as an agency, outside agency, coming to use the pool. Our teams, our sports, they're not charged anything to use any of our facilities because it's their facility.
Right.
So, which is why I have to go back and check with the school to make sure that swimming and water polo don't conflict with the times that they want to use the pool.
So when it comes to the 2-year term, then you guys would check with them before giving the dates out to make sure they don't start at a certain time and they don't overlap, right?
Yes, but there would have to be conditional language on year 2 because you never know what may change with swimming or water polo, and that could change the available hours that they have. But what they do understand is that the school takes priority. Any organization that wants to use our facilities, if something changes and our people need to use it, they get bumped out. And then we reimburse them whatever cost that it may have been or anything like that. But we try to plan ahead so that doesn't happen.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you very much. Okay, I think we're on item B, update on landscape maintenance and grounds vendor. We talked about this in the board meeting last night.
It was approved last night at the board meeting to change our grounds and maintenance company. Previously, it was a company named Brightview, who a number of times has been brought to this committee and complaints from the community, complaints from school sites, complaints from Mr. LeGrand and his staff, and from myself, because the company was not completing the agreed upon maintenance of our facilities. So they were given a 30-day notice. They are officially off our books as of the end of this month. On January 1st, Jensen will begin the maintenance of our facilities, and we saved $19,400 to boot on the contract.
So they're working on New Year's Day? No, I'm just kidding.
The contract begins on January 1st. We have a 1-year contract to make sure that everything's good. We can extend after that as long as service is up to par for what we expect.
I'm hopeful.
I am too. I am too.
Any questions, comments from the committee?
Maybe that savings can go toward the pool and the CSD swim program. Sorry.
Fair question. My comment would be, thank you to district staff. I know that going through that was frustrating. So thank your team for, because at the end of the day, they had to shoulder any deficits, and it was much appreciated.
Thank you. I'm glad it's over, and I'm optimistic for 2020.
Item C, update on large screen donated by Mountain House High School Sports Boosters.
So one of the things we talked about as a facilities committee previously is staff bringing back some of the projects that we've approved, some of the money that we've spent on upgrades, and give you an update on what's happened. So one of the things we approved was a large screen monitor donated by the sports boosters at their cost. It was over $24,000, I believe. It's now installed. It's in the gym. This is a picture of it. It is bright. In fact, Mr. Faubert has to turn it down because it's so bright. He is learning, the staff is learning how to use it. They've been trained, but they're learning how to put things up on it and make it an integral part of our sports and our activities in the gym. So it's really a neat thing that Sports Boosters gave to our high school. So I just wanted to give you a picture of what it looks like. It looks pretty cool.
Looks great. I haven't been in the gym in a long time, so I need to get over there and see it.
Me too. Any
Looks nice.
questions, comments? Well, my comment would be, one last time, thank you very much to the Athletic Booster Club for donating that. That was awesome. Item E, update on the foul ball barrier.
We missed D.
D.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, update on murals at Mountain House High School. My bad.
So the board, this came from this committee, so I wanted to report back to this committee. The board approved last night. We had 4 options that we had sent to the board for consideration for, once again, a Sports Boosters donation. There's 2 archways outside of the gym that are going to have these great-looking murals painted on them. The board agreed to option 1, image 1, which is on the board. And then if you could advance, please, Jen. And they agreed on option 4, but with the language from option 3, and the language reading "Go Big Blue." So that was the decision made last night by the board. I just want to report back to this committee, and we will move forward with this project with boosters.
Yeah, go back one slide. I'm not sure why we approved a volleyball player from UC Davis, but just
It will have the players will have the appropriate clothing on when it's painted.
So for anyone who did not participate in or watch the board meeting last night, we also put out a survey to the students of which murals they chose. And staff and the students had complete opposites.
yeah.
So what I suggested at the meeting last night that the board went with was, why don't we use one of each? So that's how we went with one with sports figures and the other with the horse. So
Great suggestion. That was a great suggestion.
Yeah, I agree.
happy medium.
Item E, this time, update on the foul ball barrier. Oh, I'm sorry, unless there's any other questions, comments on item D.
What is the time frame for having the murals? Do we know? I
As
think
soon
they're
as we get a
awesome.
grocery
I think
store.
they're what?
That's usually my line.
No, only because I think they're great and I'm excited to see them. So yeah.
I don't know. I've been working on this for 4 months. So Mr. Faubert will get the results and he will communicate with Sports Boosters and they'll get started as soon as possible.
Okay.
So
Yeah, they don't lag. Once they have approval, they move.
Good.
So now, item E, update on the foul ball barrier.
So the last time we met, this committee approved the purchase of the foul ball barrier with facilities use fees. We discussed at that time potential of our staff putting in the barrier or a contractor. It was suggested go get some bids, talk to some contractors, see what they say. We have now realized that we probably need a contractor, and that is later on in the agenda. Thank you for that advice, and we have gone out to a subcontractor that's being used by Roblin. He came out and looked at our facility and gave us a quote, and that's later on in the agenda.
Yeah, I think the board was of one accord that probably was going to be the way that it went down. So we've already discussed item F, or I'm sorry, any questions? I do this every time, I apologize. Questions, comments on item E, foul ball? Okay. Item F, we've moved to the top of the information discussion items. So item G, completion of stage curtain project.
Once again, I'm reporting back to the Facilities Committee. The curtain project was something that was approved many moons ago, and we got in queue for a company that really the only company we could find that does stage curtains to put wing curtains in the stages that don't have them, because we didn't have equal facility at all of our stages. 4 of them did not have the side stage curtains. So we brought it forward, and this committee approved it. It was taken to board for approval. Now it is complete. I wanted to show you pictures. Altamont, you can see the principal there, James Yeager, pointing at the wonderful curtain, the side curtain. And then the right-hand picture is Bethany's curtain. They have one on each side. I just took one picture. And then on the left, you can see, or the whole slide is Hanson. They had a little longer wall on both sides. And then the last but not least is Cuesta. And we have the Cuesta principal pointing out her wonderful curtains on her stage area. It's greatly appreciated because these curtains close out the side walls and make it a darker scene. And then kids can actually go behind the curtains and come in at different places on the stage. I think it's really going to help with the productions and the value of our stages. So I would just want to report back, thank you, and it is finally done. It took us a while. I think it was, 5 months we waited for them? They were backed up 5 months, so finally it's done.
And we can presume that future elementary schools will be built into it, right?
We can, yeah. Cordis, I don't know, I'll have to double check, but
We're
yeah.
we're beyond the window on Cordis.
Yeah, but Costa, yes, yeah.
Questions, comments? Okay, item H, late facility use fees, organizations in arrears. That one piqued my curiosity.
So Jimmy LeGrand is going to give you a rundown of the organizations that have not paid for the use of our facilities. I just want to remind everybody that Jimmy and I met with all of our vendors at the beginning of the school year, if you recall, and we created a two-tiered system for
Vendors?
well, for people that
User
use
groups.
our user
Okay,
groups.
okay.
Sorry, for user groups that use our facilities. We created a two-tiered system, one for the user groups that have been here and in good standing for a number of years. They got early access to the fields because they've used them years and years.
For schools that they already,
Correct, that they already use. And then the new users would be have access to using our facilities once we open it up to all. Now, only members in good standing had access to the early use. In good standing means that they've paid us and they take care of our facilities. So I just want to make note that the individual groups that Jimmy's going to mention right now are no longer in good standing, so they will not have access to the early user group. They will only have access to the public group moving forward because they haven't paid their bills.
Why would they have
Actually, we
access to sign
deny
up if
any,
they don't?
they will have no permits.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I mean,
That was if they paid.
So
Yeah, if they pay, then they
they
could
were
do
in good standing the last time they had the early access availability timeframe, but, and since they have fallen out of,
Good standing,
Favor.
yeah. And I was in the positive realm thinking that if they do end up paying us, they will be able to come back and use our facilities. But if they don't pay us, they don't get to use our facilities at all.
right,
So,
right.
Jimmy,
So there's 4 groups. Mountain House Hustle, they owe $486. The Junior Mustangs, $4,339 and change. North Carolina Lions, which is a football league, about $174. And the Royal Kings, which is a basketball, they owe $4,275.
What's the hustle thing? What are they?
It's a basketball group too.
Basketball.
And our understanding is that they may be defunct. They're not in business anymore, so that $486 we may not see.
That, the Mountain House Hustle was how much? 400 and?
486
Okay.
and change.
And then for all of these other teams, is the season over? They're no longer using our facilities? Okay, because I think
So we
Junior
stopped.
Mustangs just finished their season, but did they not used to use the track for their track and, didn't they have a track and field team at one time?
They also have a basketball program too, so nothing's been approved
Okay.
at all. And we stopped them from using the facilities around Thanksgiving time.
Okay,
So, which wasn't easy to do because we told them they couldn't use it, and we'd go out there and check on them at night, and they'd still be out there, and there was some back and forth on that for a couple weeks probably till they finally got the message. So
okay.
so if I could,
specifically with the Junior Mustangs, because they were using the fields at Cuesta, and it's kind of hard to monitor when they come on the field as opposed to getting in the gym, which is the Royal Kings basketball. Our understanding about the Royal Kings is the gentleman runs the programs out of the country, and so when he comes back, if he pays his bill, then he could have access to the facilities as not a priority group anymore.
So the additional action that the district is taking is we have crafted a demand letter from our Assistant Superintendent, Gloria Grijalva, to not only communicate the number of times and when we've communicated with them what is owed, but also the amount that is owed, and to inform them that they are no longer in good standing, so they have it in writing. The other thing, any of these organizations that have banners that are paired with their organization, once they have not paid, we're pulling their banners down. They will not be back up. We're not going to advertise their organization if they're not going to pay their bills.
I'm sorry.
Is there an official affiliation between LUSD and the high school Mustangs and junior Mustangs, or no?
No.
Okay, okay. They just changed their name because we have a high school as Mustangs, okay,
That's pretty common.
That's common everywhere. They have the junior or the high school team.
okay.
So when an organization has fallen out of good standing, do we tell them we will not issue any permits unless you pay up front, in advance?
You mean in the future?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not a bad policy, yeah.
I'd also like to make a suggestion, because this has kind of come up with a different issue, but where we're actually asking for them to pay with cashier's check versus a check, because
But we
some of
have
these
some bounce
situations,
checks, so.
Some of these either a bounce check or they're putting a stop payment on the check within that week. And of course, we don't hear of that because the bank will take a few days. And then this one case, I received an email on the weekend and immediately notified IREA, they stopped payment on this check.
Oh, wow.
Which organization was that?
It was the Mustangs.
It was some bounce checks.
Oh, that's not good.
So that's where we
That
stopped
is
it.
really
So
underhanded.
that's why I'd suggest maybe a cashier's.
I like that idea.
We can do that.
Yeah.
You know, and at first I was thinking that's a pretty heavy-handed approach, because if they're behind, you don't really know that the check's going to bounce. But you can tell them that the junior Mustangs ruined it for everybody. I think this should be an information discussion item for the board as a whole, or at least suggest to President Pombo, because this changes our interaction with the public, and I think the board as a whole should be able to discuss that if President Pombo wants to put that on the agenda.
No, I think it's important, and I think because the public will need to know why we are starting a policy of those that are no longer in good standing, that they have to have cash or a cashier's check. But I wouldn't just call out the one organization at the board meeting.
No,
I would
no.
say this is due to our experience. Unfortunately, we have to move in this direction.
Yeah. Good point.
It's not the first time with the same people or different people? Okay. They sometimes unrelated to this, just in general. They do have it in writing that they owe this, right? They have a letter with them from us.
That's what the demand letter is going to state, and they have been communicated on a regular basis in writing from
My
facilities.
office sends out monthly payment reminder emails. So
Well,
they have-
also, if they sent a check, they know.
Yeah.
They sent a check and put
There
a
is
stop.
that.
They know.
Good point.
A little bit of proof there.
There's no question what is owed, because they know ahead of time before they even get the facilities. They know what they owe.
I support the change. I'd just like to inform the board as a whole of the change.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Any other questions, comments, concerns on late facility use fees, item H? Okay, energy update. Item I.
Jimmy's going to give a report in just a minute. Mr. LeGrand and I have been working on a solar project for a little while now, and I just wanted to kind of give you just a taste of what is coming. It hasn't gone to board or hasn't, nothing like that. I've spoken with Dr. Nicholas about it. He's in full support. But we're working with an organization to look at reducing our energy costs moving forward, which has been a big deal, particularly at Cuesta and the high school. So Jimmy's going to talk a little bit about that. And then we also had a energy update from
Request, so yeah.
you have an update for Cuesta?
Yeah.
So he's got an update for Cuesta as well, which was requested. So he'll give that report.
So the group we're working with is Spur. For those that don't know, it's a school project for utility rate reduction. I've used them in other districts to buy natural gas and other utility type products. It's a JPA with about 250 other public agencies, school districts and whatnot. So that's the group we're working with. The good news about them is they do all the legwork for the district, RFPs and sorting out contractors and all that stuff, and we get the benefit of that. So the project, the solar project, I have some sample, what it could look like.
That's the parking
That's
lot.
Wickland, the first,
It's the parking lot, right?
yes.
So technically, parking becomes covered, which is
Yes.
great. We did this in a former district of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from their standpoint, they want to put the solar panel as close to the main power supply as possible for a shorter run, obviously, keep their costs low. So most of these are located in the front parking lot, which is where the power enters the campus. Wickland, you see on the front parking lot here, and then the main power grid is to the left, or the little circle. It's kind of hard to see in this little tiny picture. And then this is the high school. Basically, the whole north parking lot would be covered. They have a longer run along the front of the high school over to where the main entrance is. But that is a possibility. The other possibility potentially could be the east parking lot just south of the pool. The runs are similar type of run.
But that little parking lot in the front wouldn't have enough.
No, it wouldn't generate enough power for the high school. And just so you know, they when they do their electrical runs, they underground bore. They don't come in and saw cut and tear up concrete. They underground bore. There's minimal damage to the high school. Do we have one more or just two?
Just two.
Okay. So this is a power purchasing agreement. So what we do, we agree to buy power at a certain price, a fixed price for a certain amount of time, and they guarantee us savings over a period of time. This particular one's 20 years. I have a chart here with all the projections on it. This is the first run through. The first year is pretty much a break-even year, and then it goes up from there. Year 2 is not very much, 2,500. Then year 3, start seeing some savings, 26,000. By the time you get to year 10, you're looking at roughly $659,000 a year.
In
Year
savings.
15 would be over $1 million, 1.6 million. Year 20 would be 3.1 million. That's cumulative, sorry. How much we save. So over 20 years, it'd be roughly almost 3.2 million in savings in electrical costs.
So do we own the?
They own the equipment.
solar? They own the
They
equipment.
own it. They maintain it. We have nothing to do with it. It's to their benefit to make sure it's working at its optimal best, because they're guaranteeing these results here. And if they don't meet these results, then they're paying the district the difference, whatever they don't make, whatever they don't meet.
They're putting the facilities, and we're signing a power purchase agreement that we will buy the power coming off of it.
Yes.
If they don't supply, they have to pay us the deficit. that
Yes.
We have to go buy somewhere else.
Yes.
And is this just for these 2 schools or for all of our schools and all of our future schools?
It'd be for all of our current schools, and we
Okay.
haven't talked about the future schools yet.
So what you have for projections is just for the current schools?
Yes.
Okay.
And we just want, we're still working on the plan and working out all the logistics. A couple of the plans, we don't like where they want to put the equipment. So it's still a work in progress, but we wanted to update you because we've been talking about the power usage at our schools since I've been here, and we're trying to figure out ways to mitigate those concerns.
I love the direction. And it also, it's very hot out here, and to have covered parking with a purpose is a good thing all around. Because we did this in San Lorenzo, and I know at
I
our
did it in
district
my-
office, people loved.
I did it in my 2 previous districts,
Yeah,
and it's
they used to
basically the
fight
same
as
thing.
to who gets a spot under the solar things in the summer.
A part of the expansion is, in the original contract, they didn't have the district office. I asked to add the district office because we have a clear space right over here that we could have covered spaces and get some more power and help with the costs here. So
Part of the challenge you should know with saving money is that most of the schools in Lamsville use MID, Modesto Irrigation District, and the rates are not as expensive as PG&E. So if this was all PG&E, these savings would be even more. So these numbers are really tight. The margins are really tight on these. This is the first run through. They're sharpening their pencil and see what they can do before they physically will guarantee these numbers and we bring it to the board and so on and so forth. But this is just the first run through.
I love it.
Good work. Good work.
Questa?
Yeah.
What about the Questa?
You want the energy update?
Yeah,
Sure.
energy update for Questa.
So I have we had an energy audit over Thanksgiving, and so I have the energy report for Questa specifically. It's been our problem child. I have the updated through October. It's kind of hard to see from this chart, but the energy use at Questa has gone down. This is 2017, 18. It's gone down every year for the whole year. Total electrical use and cost by month for year for Questa is shown in the graphs above. Energy use for the site has decreased 11.6% between 2017 and 2018, giving a cost avoidance of approximately $20,000. In 2019, electric use continues to decrease with comparing January to October to 19 to 18, electric use has decreased 33%. Okay, resulting in a cost avoidance of $53,000 to the district. It says this electric decrease is impressive when comparing to weather trend data, which shows there was an increase in hotter weather during June, August, and September, and an increase in colder weather from January through March.
Is that because, I apologize that I don't remember, did we put in the new thermostats at Questa?
No.
So what change did we make
We made several changes on the site, and most of it's HVAC related, and try to get better control of the system. And so that's basically what it comes down to: doing a better job, make sure it's not running the weekends, make sure it's not running the nights. So that's basically what we've done. I have proposals for a new EMS system, energy management system. The first run through was 160,000. It was 165,000. I said no. They were back sharpening their pencil. They got it down to 98,000. I still think that's way too high for what they're providing. So that's still a route we're trying to take. But I can't go to Thor and recommend spending that much money on this system because it's not. I don't see where the cost is coming from. The thermostats themselves are $300, and if there's 50, that's $15,000. Okay, so where's the other $85,000 coming from? Labor is not that expensive.
Someone's pocket.
So
If I could also mention that we have spoken to principals about keeping their doors closed, turning off the monitors when teachers are not in the classroom, not adjusting their own HVAC system, their HVAC system to accommodate their own temperature requirements in the classroom. I know that sounds cold, but we have monitored systems and we have set settings on our thermostats for a reason. That's to make sure that we're fiscally sound when it comes to our energy management. And Jimmy's crew is doing a great job trying to manage that.
So the teachers can change the temperature in their classroom? They have access?
they
to
have
the
a
thermostat?
2-degree dead band either way. So if it's 7, they can go 68 or 72. So it's like a 4-degree swing. So that's where they're at. They don't get full rain. And Thor's correct. The staff has done a better job. We used to go over there and see doors propped open in the middle of the day with the AC running. I don't see that as much when we go over there. So, and the lights are off. And
in May, it's 100 degrees outside, and they have the door propped open
With the air running.
with the air.
Yeah.
so we go in the room and see the TVs on, lights on, and we don't see that as much. So the staff has been a big part of that as well.
Can I see the schedule for Questa? I don't know if the rest of the committee, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, I just wanted to see and especially for Saints' benefit, the Questa has been our problem child, and it's been, if you look at the number of students and the number of square feet in the facility, it was just out of bed, and we really have struggled, Jimmy's team has spent a lot of time and effort trying to figure out what was causing that and fix it. And those are some significant decreases. That's great.
Yeah.
Pass that down if you guys want to see it. It's 3 consecutive years with the bars going down.
Yeah.
So we have some other things in the pipeline that'll be come down the pipeline down the road. Other ideas, lighting and water and other things too. So stay tuned for that. We're working on that as well.
Speaking of lighting, how many of our sites are on like the newer LEDs? Is that
All the sites are on the exterior LEDs,
Uh-huh.
and not the Bethany and Wickland are on the interior only. So we have other sites.
That was part of the, was that part of the?
That was part of our Prop 39 projects. Yeah. So when we couldn't do the thermostats at Questa with the Prop 39 money, we took that money and did the interior lighting at Wickland and Bethany. And so Spur also has lighting programs, and they're doing their diligence now, and they're going to have an RFP out after the first of the year. So down the road, this may be a program we can take advantage of for the district. So
Yeah, yes, because we just redid all our lights, and boy, is my office bright.
that's all I have.
Any other questions, comments on the energy update item?
Great job, thank you.
Yes, thank you for continuing to focus on that. That was great. Okay, item 6, action items. A, facility fees. Number I, reconditioned fields at Questa and Lammersville not to exceed $68,000. Item 1, Lammersville field 20,000. Report.
So previously, we've used facility use fees to recondition fields that are getting used by the public and used by our kids and our students. We did Wickland fields a year ago. Reconditioned those fields, really helped out. We did Altamont, and we also did the baseball field previously at the high school. This committee has also approved the softball field area already at Lammersville School. The request here is for the further west field, that's the soccer field. We would like to recondition that field just like we did at Wickland. Same with Questa's east and west fields. We would like to recondition their fields as well. We think it's time for a grand total of not to exceed $68,000 to recondition those 3 fields.
I think it's a great idea. Keep our facilities looking like they should and safe, so kids aren't falling in gopher holes and other things and getting hurt.
Yeah, the reconditioning at Wickland really helped
Did.
with the field
Yes.
damage that had occurred from I guess there was a huge family of gophers previous years, and so that's been fixed up pretty well with the reconditioning that we did previously.
We evicted them, huh?
We evicted them and then we resurfaced.
Yeah.
So
They went over to Hanson.
they're at Hanson now. Yeah.
So we need a motion on this, or?
I apologize. Do we need a motion? Or is it, I think it's a consensus.
It's a consensus.
We go for a consensus.
Action item, yes.
Oh, just consensus?
Well, that's,
Then it has to go to
Yeah, I
the
don't
board
think
for
we-
final approval.
Right.
we
right.
just get a consensus that it goes to that we agree that we recommend, go to the board with a recommendation
recommending.
to approve.
Yes,
Okay, I agree.
I agree.
So do I. I think we have a consensus.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. And this will happen obviously after the new year, once the weather improves. So
Yeah, that's when I was gonna ask, when would this be done?
it would have to be done in the spring.
I was gonna say spring break.
Maybe,
enough time?
it depends. We have discussed getting on, we use Delta Bluegrass, who's done a very good job for us. We're trying to get in queue. We're trying to get on their list so that when the weather clears, that we have a good spot in line.
Delta Blue Glass, they did the baseball.
They did the baseball field.
retrofit, right?
They did Altamont, they did Wickland too.
So how long does it take, so how long would the field be out of commission for the students to use?
Wickland took not very long, 3 days, 4 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Altamont took, well, we replaced some solder. Altamont took about a week. Wickland was less than that.
Okay.
So just so you're aware, the Lammersville fix of the softball field, that field will be down for quite a while because we're doing a more aggressive fix on that field. We're not only moving the softball backstop to the west. And then we're putting in sprigs, is that what we're putting, what's the grass at?
We're gonna sprig plant it, and we're putting an all-new irrigation system
Yeah.
too, so that's more work.
So that field will be closed for a while, but the reconditioning on the further field, the western field, that shouldn't be more than 5 or 6 days
Yeah, it won't.
that the kids
more than a
can't
week.
use it.
We would do one at a time, so they'd have some field
Yeah.
to use,
They
right?
have different crews that, they have a different crew that does a full reno, like the one by softball field, and they have a silver maintenance crew that does, like we did. So
No, I'm
we
thinking
wouldn't,
access
we wouldn't
for
shut it down
kids,
the
that
whole
you
time.
Wouldn't do both of them
Yeah,
at the
no.
same
Yes.
time.
No. The reality is the softball field's probably not gonna be till summer,
Mm-hmm.
just because how much work needs to be done, and trenching equipment and stuff around the kids, not a great idea. Best wait till they leave and so on and so forth, so.
Just so you're aware, we're also removing the old permanent soccer goals that are there at Lambertville, and we have new aluminum mobile soccer goals that this committee purchased for the students. That they'll have new goals. So that's it.
So we have a consensus to recommend approval, send it to the board with a recommendation for approval on item number 1. Any other comments, questions? Item number 2, installation of foul ball barrier not to exceed 14,500.
So as I mentioned earlier, we did find a contractor, and we did have some conversations and decide not to do it in-house, but to do the installation out-house. And the cost would be $14,500, like I said, with a subcontractor from Roebelin who would be coming over to install the foul ball fencing.
So the foul ball barrier that has already been approved was how much?
58,
I was gonna say 6, yeah.
I think it's $5,800.
5,800.
Yes.
And is this, and my question is this just the installation or is it,
It's just installation.
okay.
The installation
So the total
costs more.
cost is 5,800 plus
Yes.
the 14,500. I'm actually not surprised by that. And
The cost?
that it's more.
That the installation is more than the,
Because it's, and Lord forbid, we put it in and something happens.
Yeah.
Well, it's the size of the footings, and it's the depth of the footings, and it's up on the slope of the hill. It's just a lot of things going on there that, maybe we shouldn't be doing.
Get somebody that does that for a living.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's money well spent.
yes.
I agree. So I think we have a consensus for that one as well.
Thank you.
Item number 7, future agenda topics and meeting date. Our future meeting dates, February 6th and May 14th. Anybody have future agenda topics that they want to see?
I have a discussion item I'd like to bring forward with the new screen at the school. We have a banner process and a procedure. I'd like to add the big screen to that same process.
So we're talking about the high schools.
At the high school,
Boosters.
The booster, that the boosters gave, so that the boosters would have the opportunity to sell advertising space on there, the same process that they use with the banners, so that, A, we have a fundraising source, and B, the school could use it for, happy birthdays or all sorts of different stuff, and that we have a process that's in place that we could use. So I'd like to bring that forward to the next facilities committee for your review and discussion.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm. Very good idea.
Okay.
Anything else? Then, unless
Yes.
there's another comment, I will
Yeah.
adjourn the meeting at, 7:38.